Alrighty, so obviously yesterday we learned some pretty big news regarding Melissa McBride and the fact that she's not going to be joining the Daryl spinoff anymore. And yeah, we saw a lot of online reaction to that. Today I really wanted to focus on, like what's next for Carol and what happens in the future and all that. I already talked about my initial reaction to all of that. I talked about the storyline and whatnot for the Daryl spinoff and just what what it could mean for, him trying to find Rick and why he's in Europe and all that. Those are up on the channel. So if you're interested in my thoughts and all of that, then yeah, it's like the video before this one, or it's like the last two before this video. But I really wanted to focus on Carol here and what this means for her story. Like, does this mean that Carol's going to die at the end here of The Walking Dead final season? And if it doesn't, then when are we going to see Carol again? So before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want more Walking Dead content like this. It is Thursday. I have missed the last 2-3 weeks of Q&As. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to be doing Q&As throughout this off season here, but I think I will for tomorrow. I'll do a Q&A for tomorrow. So if you haven't followed the Discord yet, definitely go do so. I'll ask for some questions there, and then I'll give you guys like about, I don't know, 24 hours, or I guess a little less than 24 hours. And then I'll go through all the questions, pick my favorite ones. And then, yeah, I'll post that Q&A video tomorrow. But yeah, without further ado, let's talk about the Carol thing here. So the question I have for you guys is when are we going to see Carol again? Obviously we still have Part 8 here, so we'll see her then. It is kind of crazy though to think that these last 8 episodes are going to be the last 8 with Carol for a very long time. So it does kind of add a lot more sadness, I would say, to the final 8 episodes here. The fact that this is going to be the last that we see of Carol for how long, right? Like, it might actually be 5 or 6 years before we see her again. I mean, because when are we going to see her again? Just think about it. The show's ending this year. The Daryl spinoff is in Europe. She won't go out there because of the filming location, right? Like, she doesn't want to go film out there. So what else are they going to do with Carol? I imagine they're going to figure out something, but I don't think they're going to be in any rush to bring her to any sort of story. A Daryl spinoff, like a spinoff on that character alone, makes a lot of sense. I don't know if a Carol spinoff makes a lot of sense, right? Like, I don't know if people are going to watch that, really. You kind of need to have like 2 characters together. Like, really the only characters where it kind of makes sense to do a spinoff just alone on like just focus on that one character is like Rick, Daryl, or Michonne, right? Like, I can see those 3 characters getting a standalone spinoff. I guess you could throw Negan in there, but the thing about Negan is, like, I don't know. It could be exciting, but there's not a lot that you can do there, and adding Maggie to it just makes it so much better. But Rick, Daryl, and Michonne, I could see them all getting their own spinoffs, and it works. But with Carol, it just kind of makes no sense. And I look at everything here, and I really think the Daryl spinoff got a lot better with not having Carol there, which I know is a crazy thing to say, but I mostly mean, really, like, it's not a shot at Carol at all. It's mostly just because Daryl can actually go out and do things and meet new people, and we can establish a whole different world, a different group with Daryl, right? Kind of like Rick in the beginning, where he was by himself and he went out, found a new group, and that ended up being like his own family. I'm not saying Daryl's going to do that, but if Daryl ran into a new group, we're going to see his interactions with those people, and it makes it more like, I don't know, it makes them a little bit more likable, because Daryl's on his own. Whereas if Carol's there with Daryl, it really does make it like, well, there's Daryl and Carol's group, and then there's the other group, right? It does kind of separate them a little bit here. Whereas if Carol's gone, then Daryl's just by himself. And so if there is another group, you can kind of picture Daryl join that group a little bit easier. It just makes things a little bit more fresh, a little bit more exciting, and I do kind of like it. And the thing is, though, is it is pretty split. Like, I asked here on Discord, I asked, is the Daryl spinoff better without Carol? And I just gave 2 options, yes or no. And as of now, 17 people chose yes, and 16 people chose no. So I'm looking at that, and I'm like, yeah, it's basically 50-50. And that's basically how I've kind of seen it online. Like, a lot of people are saying, like, well, this is really good news. Like, now I'm actually excited for the Daryl spinoff. I wasn't before. And then you have people who are like, well, if Carol's not going to be a part of it, then I'm done. As soon as The Walking Dead's over this year, I'm done with The Walking Dead, which I don't really believe that, by the way. Like, I know a lot of people say that. I think some people will actually be done, but man, people have been saying that forever. Like, a lot of people said that they were done if Rick was off the show or, you know, like whatnot. And I imagine some people left, but so many people are still watching. So it's not like a lot of people just kind of say that because they're upset, which I totally understand because it's their favorite character leaving, right? Overall, though, you know, it seems to be roughly 50 almost, you know, in terms of excitement for the Daryl spinoff and then the sadness about Carol leaving. And a lot of it mostly is just, you know, the focus on the Daryl spinoff and if it's going to be better without Carol. You know, I imagine most people are sad that, you know, the last that we're going to see of Carol is in part 3 here. Because that's the thing, too, is like, when are we going to see her after this? Once that last episode airs in, you know, the end of November here, like afterwards, it's basically like there's the Daryl spinoff, there's the Maggie and Negan spinoff, there's the Rick movie. What else can you do? And I don't know if they're going to rush to anything right away. That's the thing. Like, I don't see them really rushing to anything right away. So it might take a while. It may actually be like 5 or 6 years before we see Carol again. Like, it might not happen until 2027 or 2028. You know, because if you think about it, it's been a while since we've seen Michonne. It's been 2 years now, right? She left in like early 2020 or whatever. And so I'm like, is there any plans to bring Michonne back anytime soon? Doesn't seem like it. It doesn't mean that there's they're not talking about it. But there's been really no online discussions about it. There's been no hint or anything. There's been no rumor about Michonne. So I'm kind of like when are we going to see Michonne again? Probably in the next 3 to 4 or 5 years. And I think I would put the same time frame on Carol, which I think, yeah, obviously for Carol fans is sad. But I mean, obviously Michonne fans have been going through it for a while now already, right? So the one thing I will say is I think that, you know, be happy that the character is likely not going to die off. Like, that's definitely something that I'm really happy about. You know, I think some people are kind of trolling, you know, people about just, oh, now Carol's going to die, this and that. And, you know, it's clearly stated that Carol is going to survive. Like, she's going to, you know, like they're looking forward to working with Melissa McBride in the future to bring Carol to, you know, to just to be a part of some project in the future, some Walking Dead project. So to me, it makes sense that Carol's going to survive. I think that goes without saying, right? Like, she's going to survive. She was going to be a part of the spinoff. She's not anymore. And it's because Melissa McBride didn't want to work in Europe. So that basically to me confirms that, you know, she's going to survive. And my prediction as of now in terms of what they're actually going to do here for a story is I think she's just going to stay around Alexandria and watch over Judith, to be honest. I will say I hope that it's not so noticeable, though. Like, I hope that at the end, it's not teased that we're going to see her again of how all of this worked out, right? I think that would really suck. I would really like it if they kind of worked it out beforehand and they knew that Melissa McBride wasn't going to be a part of this and they were able to prepare Carol's story as such, right? Because if it's her last episode and she's just kind of doing whatever and it's teased that she might go with Daryl or whatever, that's not really a satisfying conclusion for the character. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing what they're actually going to do here with all of that. I think that personally, I think she's just going to stay behind. I think she's going to survive everything. And she's just going to be like, yeah, I'm going to hold the fort down here. And you guys go out and you guys go bring Rick home. You know, I can just picture that being one of Carol's last lines, like bring him home, basically, you know, referring to Rick. And I think it makes a lot of sense. And, you know, I will say, I don't think anybody should be blaming Norman Reedus or even AMC, you know, in terms of wanting to film in Europe, and maybe that kind of messed with Melissa McBride's plans because she wanted to be a part of this, right? I don't think anyone should blame them because first of all, we don't know if Norman Reedus was the one who suggested to go to Europe. But even then, even if he was the one to suggest it and that screwed over Melissa McBride, I don't view it as it screwed her over. I don't think it did at all. It was a creative decision, which I do fully support. You want to change things up here. You want to make it more exciting. And you know, the idea of Daryl going to Europe is exciting for a lot of people, except for the people who are saying that, like, how is he going to get there? This makes no sense. This is so stupid. Like, what is he going to ride his motorcycle all the way over there? Which I know is probably a joke, but some people are really upset at the fact that Daryl is going to be going there. And I think that's crazy to me. I told a lot of people that just in my family and friends yesterday about the fact that, you know, they're doing a Daryl spinoff in Europe. So Daryl's actually going to be going to Europe, and all of them, like their eyes lit up. They were like, "Whoa, what the hell? Like, what's that?" And right away they were like, "Well, I guess I might have to tune in then for like the last couple of episodes to see what happens here. Like, why does he go there? That's kind of crazy because they know Daryl and they know the story of The Walking Dead from the first 5 or 6 seasons, right? The fact that he's going to Europe, that's like, what the hell? Like, what happened there?" So I think all of these decisions here make a lot of sense for Isle of the Dead to be set in New York, for this Daryl spinoff to be set in Europe. It makes so much sense creatively because you're changing everything up. It's not the same show that we've been getting for however many years. I agree with it. And the fact that Melissa McBride couldn't join, I think is just sort of it's the sad part about it, but it does make the story overall better. Like, if you're asking me as a fan, would I prefer Melissa McBride to be on the show, but we're still set in around, where they film right now? Or would I prefer what they have now, which is Daryl going to Europe? I would say Daryl going to Europe, like, no matter what. It just makes it so much more exciting. And we're going to be seeing different visuals. There's going to be a totally different aspect to the story here that will bring a lot of fans in. A lot of previous fans will tune in because there's going to be running zombies. It's set in a different location. They're trying to find Rick. There's so much here that, like, it actually makes it really exciting and really fun. And it's crazy to think, like, I can't even imagine that right now in the show, honestly. Like, just picturing Daryl going to Europe right now. And that just seems so, like, what, really? Like, I don't know. I can't picture it. I can't picture The Walking Dead in Europe right now. It's so hard, but we're going to get that. I can't even picture The Walking Dead in New York City, but we're going to be getting that because they're actually filming there. And this is the stuff that you want to do if you want to make things. Like, if you want to stay relevant, that's definitely something that The Walking Dead wants to do. They want to stay relevant. And I think that creatively, when I look at just the creative decisions to do all of this and to take the story into really exciting places, I think you have to do it. You have to, as a writer, as a creator of this universe, if you're Scott Gimple, AMC, some of the writers, you have to go there. And if that means that you don't have Melissa McBride, you got to follow the story, right? You have to. It does suck. I know it sucks, but you have to follow the story. So I agree with it. I 100% agree with it. And I hope Carol does come back at some point in the future. I just don't know how. But again, we'll have to see where the story's at. We'll have to see where her story ends. Then we're going to know a lot more. But yeah, as of now, I feel bad for a lot of the Carol fans, for people who are, where that's your favorite character. Because, like, that's gotta suck. That's really gotta suck. But I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.